Well, it's time to talk about the bad side of owning a 2024 Road Glide, at least in my case. And today I'm going to tell you every issue that I've had with this new motorcycle, the fixes for them, and how many times this thing has actually broken down on me because it's not pretty. Now, I covered some of this, actually a good chunk of this, in my 1,000-mile review. But since then, I've had another breakdown. So now it's time to just tell you everything in one video, so that way when people ask, hey, what happened with the bike? If you don't want to see the review for whatever reason, I can lead you to this video here. Now, the first thing I want to say is when Harley-Davidson flew me and a bunch of other creators out to Las Vegas to ride these new motorcycles, I had zero intentions before I left here to go out there, ride them, and come back and buy a brand new bike. But the upgrades and everything they've put into the motorcycles made me do just that. I came back, got on the phone with Orlando Harley, talked to my boy Billy, he hooked it up, and yeah, we got to talking. I went down there, signed my paperwork, whatever. That's the kind of relationship that we have. And so I was like, dude, these things are awesome. I had the chance to ride them out in Vegas, and there was, to me, almost everything they've done with the bikes has been fantastic. But here we are, and now I'm making this video. So this is not to bash Harley-Davidson in any way, but it is to be transparent with the community here because that's what I do. So if you like honest motorcycle reviews, gear reviews, all of that kind of stuff, comparisons, make sure you subscribe right here. And if you want to join the SHOT Squad, you can do that on Patreon or join right here and gain access to some pretty cool perks. Let's go and get into it. So let's talk about the first issue that I actually had, which was the no start issue. So essentially, I rolled the bike out of the garage. This was the day after I actually got the bike. Keep in mind, the day of, I took it for about a 30-mile trip, so it was nothing crazy, but I wanted to obviously get it out on the street and start putting some miles on it. And then the very next day, I rolled it out of the garage and I went to go roll it back in, and that's when this happened. Literally would not start. The starter motor would keep kicking over, and nothing would happen, and eventually it would shut off. So when this happened, I contacted Harley-Davidson. I told them what was going on. They said, all right, let's see if we can get it to a dealer. There's a software update, and then that should clear this issue right up. Now keep in mind, you can do software updates over Wi-Fi now. That's something you have to get like a 2 USBs, transfer the update from your computer to the bike, but it can be done over Wi-Fi. So I just want to make that clear. You don't have to take it to the dealer for some software updates. It's not totally necessary, but at the time I didn't know this, and the bikes are so new, dealers and everybody's kind of just learning information as it's coming at them. I shut the bike off, let it sit for a minute or two, same issue. So at this point, I'm like, okay, let me shut it off for 20 minutes. Did that, same issue. Just would not start up. It would not kick over. So what I did is I tried to pull the main fuse and let it sit. And sometimes it would start, other times it wouldn't. And I said, okay, screw it. I'm just going to get a tow truck, put this thing on there, and go from there. So that's what I did. The next morning, tow truck comes by, we get it on there, they get it down to my local dealer. And it's a different kind of feeling when you have a motorcycle with less than 50 miles and you're looking at it going away on the back of a tow truck, knowing that there's nothing I could do about it. So that's a different feeling. But you know what? I put my feelings aside. I said, okay, software update is going to fix this. So I get a call from my dealer the same day, and he's like, okay, this is what we think happened is your bike was in security alarm mode essentially, and we don't think it was put into transport mode when it was on the trailer from Orlando up to you. So I was like, well, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that over time. It just kind of kills the battery. Why I was able to ride it that day I guess maybe there was just enough juice in the battery, and then overnight it killed it, wouldn't start. We've done a load test on it, everything's good to go. So I said okay, and went and picked up the bike. Everything seemed fine until the next day. The next day, I coincidentally was going up to a different Harley that's very close to that same Harley dealer, but we were just going to, trade in some clothes or exchange some clothes, something from Christmas time. So, it was totally unrelated, but about a quarter of a mile, actually maybe even an eighth of a mile from that dealer, the bike suddenly jolted and then the ABS and traction control lights came on. So I got it to the dealer again, very short little ride there. And when I shut it off, I went inside. I asked, hey, can you guys come take a look at this? Well, when I get back outside, same starting issue. Said, okay, well, it wasn't doing this before, but the ABS and traction control lights did come on right before I came here. So I kept doing it, let it reset for about 30, 40 seconds, and then the bike started up again. But then when I went back out to leave, it happened to me again where it wouldn't start. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to have it towed again, that's for sure. I'll leave it here. I knew that it would be a few days before they could look at it. Guy told me that straight up. So I said, okay, I'll leave it here. Let me know. So I left it there. I called them a few days later, try to get an update. And they say, man, I don't know. This thing's starting up just fine. Now I asked him, have y'all been keeping it on a tender? He told me no. I have no reason to think otherwise. Okay, well, it's starting up. I said, hey, can y'all check the battery again? Because, I'm thinking maybe that is the issue. There's obviously something electrical going on. You've seen it with your own eyes as I'm talking to the same guy that was there that day. He said, yeah, man, I know, but there's nothing happening. So anyways, they check the battery. They call Harley. They get tech services on the line. Tech services says, hey, give it back to him. If he has more issues, make sure he takes a video and then calls us again. So I knew there was an issue with the bike. I really didn't expect anything less than to have an issue again and have to take this back for a third time. But at this point, what can I really do? I think that one of the techs even wrote up that, hey, this thing, we found it in rain mode. Maybe it slipped a tire or the tire slipped and that caused the lights to come on. And I'm thinking to myself, I understand these are new bikes. Not everybody knows about these new bikes and certainly not, any kind of issues yet. But logically speaking, rain mode is designed to do the opposite thing of what he wrote up. It actually engages your traction control to its highest setting so you don't lose traction. So anyways, I seen that. It didn't give me any more hope, that's for sure. But I took the bike, got it home. And guess what? The very next day, you want to take a guess? It didn't start. Now, when I say it didn't start, it still would have this starting issue where it acted like it wanted to start, but nothing would happen. The lights would erratically flash on and off, or they would just kind of flicker. Instrument gauges wouldn't work. I mean, it was acting really erratic. Sometimes it would, again, start up, smoke on me, act like it was running on one cylinder, and then shut back off. So I took my video, I sent it to Harley Corporate. Now, one thing that I mentioned in the 1,000-mile review is sometimes you need to call customer care because once you get these guys involved, it can get a lot better for you. Now, dealer support varies all across the country from what I understand. From talking to y'all and being to certain dealers myself, sometimes you get really awesome experience, sometimes not so much. The good part about Harley-Davidson though is you can go anywhere you want to essentially and choose to do business where you want, and so that's what I elect to do. But no matter what your support level is like on your dealer side, customer care can kind of step in and, give you extra support if that's needed. And in my case, I believe it was needed. So they ended up looking at the bike, and what they determined is they took a new BCM out of another 24, put it in my bike, put my BCM in the other bike. Well, guess what? The other bike started having issues, same as mine, and mine worked perfectly. So what Tech Services was going to do is actually fly from Milwaukee to my local dealer and actually check out the motorcycle and see what the heck is going on. But I told him, I was like, look, I'm trying to go to Daytona, which is in 2 days. Can we overnight this part? And that's exactly what they did. So they overnighted a new body control module. They put it in the motorcycle. They checked it the next morning before I went and picked it up. They said everything looks good. At this point now, I am hopeful because they found an issue, and I think we're good to go. But, I'm going down to Daytona. We're going to try this thing out. If it starts up more than 2 days in a row, I think we might be on to something. So I get it down there. Not only does it start up 2 days in a row, it starts up 3 days in a row, and then a week in a row. And I'm like, all right, whew. Thankfully, this thing is fixed. Nothing more to concern myself with until just a couple of days ago. The very first time I tried to get power to this thing, actually I was doing another video, coincidentally, but I tried to put power to the bike and my lights started acting erratic. They started flashing, and then I noticed that my gear indicator wasn't working. I noticed that sometimes it wouldn't even come on. It was just really weird, so I tried to reset the system, and then I had absolutely no power. I mean, nothing. What's interesting is it was almost like a progressive type of thing that was happening. So the first time, lights are erratic, and then it was the gear indicator not coming on. And then when I would hit the run position, the fuel pump wasn't turning on. Fuel pump is not turning on. Gear indicator is not working, and it just shut off. And then eventually I had no power to the system whatsoever. Hit the button, nothing happens. So I said, okay, well, here we go again. So I call customer care. They're like, hey, look, you need to get the bike down to your local dealer. And at this point, I'm thinking, man, I just need to get another motorcycle. There's got to be some kind of lemon law here. This thing has 1,100 miles. I'm pissed. You know what I mean? Like, this is ridiculous. So what I ended up doing, because I did not want to tow it again, is I put it on a tender. Now, overnight, I had it on tender about 14 hours. It still wasn't fully charged by the time I got up in the morning and ready to leave, but it did give it enough juice to where it would start up. So I get it back down to the dealer, and I got a call just a few hours ago, really, and they said, hey, we swapped the battery. Everything looks good to go now. Now, of course, at this point, this being the 4th time, I am still hesitant to think that I have a working motorcycle, and it's going to take me some time to actually trust this thing. Was it the transport mode or not being in transport mode from the original trip from Orlando up here that caused all of this in the first place? I have no idea. Batteries seem like the logical answer, but with it doing everything else and kind of, just running erratic and, acting like it's running on one cylinder and smoking, I was thinking, okay, yeah, BCM does make more sense than a battery. But now, at this point, they've changed the battery, and I'm hoping that it will be fixed. So, with all of that said, Harley-Davidson actually comped my 1K service. They're paying for that which I had already planned on taking it to them for the 1K because, you know, when it's that very first service, they're so picky with that stuff. Again, thinking about my warranty, thinking about what this bike's already been through, I said, hey, I'm gonna bite the bullet on this one and let them do the 1K service anyways. Now, one other thing I need to mention is that the shocks are actually squeaking on compression and rebound. This is one of my last worries, but at the same time, this should not be happening on a new motorcycle. So I'm still waiting to kind of see what that issue is. But once I get an update, of course, I will update y'all. And if I have any future issues with the bike, and I really hope I don't, of course, y'all will be the first to know. So they did pay for the 1K service, which is pretty awesome and makes me feel somewhat compensated for all the issues that I had. Now, am I going to sell this thing and buy an India tomorrow? Absolutely not. Do I hate the motor company now? No, I don't. I understand to an extent that we are ambassadors of this new design because everything's different from the wiring harness to the lights. Everything you see and everything you don't see is different on these motorcycles. So I understand there's going to be some growing pains, and when you buy a brand new design, sometimes you're going to have issues. That I accept. But 4 times in roughly 2 months of going to the shop, I don't. And so that's why I'm making this video. Also, if you know anybody, any other creators or yourself or just people in your circle that have issues like this, maybe that will help you guys out as well to get your bike up and running quicker than what mine has. And so that I feel like is part of my responsibility here too, is to inform you guys, and that's what this video is all about. Now, if you like my style, which is honest motorcycle reviews, make sure you subscribe, and if you want to join the Shot Squad, you can do that on Patreon or join the channel right here. And again, I have links for y'all and discount codes associated with those links to help save you money on some of the best motorcycle parts in the industry. Big thanks to you guys for watching. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.